Welcome back, guys. And today I wanted to touch on a piece of content which I covered lightly last week, which was around data analytics being a dying industry. So, over the next few minutes, I want to give you some insight into what I'm seeing in the industry and some real life examples of where I'm seeing data analytics at risk. And what does that mean for future people who are wanting to get into data analytics? Let's get straight into it. The first thing I want to cover is that junior analytics for sure is pretty much a dying field. Um, when I say junior analytics, what I mean is the hiring of data analysts at junior roles. So there's been a number of articles online recently. Here's a Google search result where many people are talking about the struggle in finding junior roles. And if you take, for example, a company like EY, they recently announced that they're slashing all graduate job hires. Now, traditionally, these firms always hired graduates into junior roles and over the years promoted them to senior positions and middle management level positions. A lucky few would get promoted to leadership. But if these roles are now being squeezed because of AI or whatever else, then genuinely it presents a problem for people who are trying to get into the space of analytics. So really, if you want to become a career analyst, data analyst, then you need to start off with a junior role. And without a junior role, you're going to have a hard time. So I'm seeing this right now in the market. There's a genuine shortage of junior analyst roles all across the industry, not just in the UK, but across many markets, including America as well. Now, the data analytics iceberg, I just want to cover this because this is something that a lot of people don't realize. Now, 80% of all work when it comes to an analytics team or an analytics role, think of an analyst in a typical company, 80% of all their time is spent engineering data, cleaning, transforming, preparing, sourcing, maybe hiring. If you're a manager, you're hiring analysts. All of that time is spent just preparing. But the reality is what really matters is the 20%. It's all about the analysis and then the decisions based on the analysis. So why is this important? Because effectively what we're saying is 80% of all budget spend on data analytics is pretty much not seeing any value. It's not delivering any real value. It's really that 20% that's adding value that businesses care about. So what AI is doing now is helping businesses save on that 80% and some of the 20%. So we'll come on to that shortly. So here's an example where Tableau have released Pulse, which is meant to be their AI agent. And using Pulse, you can effectively answer any questions about your business, even if you have no background knowledge. So here, for example, you can ask Pulse a question like a chatbot, it will come back with answers. And that is literally changing the way people consume data and analyze data. So here you can see someone's asked a question. How do vehicle production numbers compare to vehicle sales? This is in the context of vehicle production and sales. And you can clearly see that Tableau has been effective at coming back with an answer and a visual answer at that. So this is what we're seeing, right? People are no longer using or going to data analysts in their team. Effectively, they're going straight to the AI to analyze data and come to a decision or come to a viewpoint in their understanding of the business. And without analysts and human intervention, really, people can still deliver their jobs and still get answers they need. And AI is drastically changing all of that. AI is genuinely changing the way people consume data. Another example, here we've got Power BI, right? So previously we touched Tableau, this is now Power BI. And if you know Microsoft, you'll very well know that Copilot has been embedded everywhere. And again, Copilot is now in Power BI and it can be used to answer questions around data. So here I can dive into the data without knowing anything about its background and get answers really quickly. Once again, AI replaces analysts and junior analysts. And the same is also working for transformation as well. Now here, you can someone's asked a question, create me a new field, a country of origin, and I need it to look like this based on this logic. And Tableau has come up with a case statement which can be used in a calculated field. Now that typically would have been built by an analyst or a data scientist who would have had to formulate that and come up with the logic and the case statement or the if then statement. But clearly here, AI is doing that for us. So AI is rapidly and genuinely replacing a lot of the analytics work that would be done by a core data analyst. So the other thing I want to touch on is really why that's come about. It's because we have two types of businesses, right? Most businesses operate as a type A or a type B, and I'll come on to that in a second. So this is type A, where you have multiple teams. So you can have a finance team, a sales team, a legal team, a HR team. You can have a risk team or credit team. You can have an investment banking team, a retail banking team, a business banking team, you name it. And in every one of these teams, what you'd find in this structure is there'd be an analyst embedded in one of those teams. So there'd be a technical person, a data person, sat within a business team. And typically, companies like HSBC operate on this model, and so do the tech firms like Google and Amazon. They don't actually have a centralized, tech unit or a data analyst hub. They actually embed all of their data analysts across the business. And then the other type of business is this type of business. This is where you have all the business teams. Again, I've touched on these earlier: finance, credit, risk, sales, marketing, legal, HR, you name it. And there's always a data team right in the center. And this data team service all the other teams. It's known as a hub and spoke model. So who does this? Big banks like JP Morgan Chase, Citibank, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America. They all operate on this model. So why is this important? Because AI typically was all about data analytics typically was all in the hands of this group of users, whether it's on this format or this format. But now with AI coming into power, people are now doing away with a centralized hub or doing away with these specialists that sat in their teams. And these business users are now being empowered to ask and solve data challenges and data questions themselves. So the Venn diagram, this is a diagram, it's a theoretical diagram, exists everywhere, and it can exist for anything really, whenever there's, two opposing forces at play. So here you've got the data analyst that sits in the middle of these two forces, if you like. One force, if you like, that I'm seeing a movement is towards data engineering, and on the other side is the business management. So really what I'm saying is if you want to stay safe, you want a career, what you want to do is you want to move into on the left or move to the right. It's entirely up to you. You want to specialize in data engineering. There's a huge market for that. It's growing. All these AI models need clean data. All these AI models and platforms need data housing, if you like, data warehousing or lakes. And the businesses also equally need to transform and move a lot of their legacy stuff into modern architecture. So whether you go left or right doesn't matter, but there'll be a career for you if you move in either direction. But what you mustn't do is stay in the middle for too long. So I recommend you migrate into one of these other areas for your career, and we'll cover that in this channel. Because if you, before we get into that, just about the job aspect, if you search for any one of these terms, data engineer, analytics engineer, business analyst, you will find a flood of jobs. And this is just in the UK. You'll find salaries are really good. Whereas if you search for data analyst, you'll still find roles, but you'll find the pay is getting less and less and less. And that's because data analytics is genuinely under threat, as I covered earlier. But whereas these fields here, data engineers or analytics engineers, sometimes known as business analysts, will keep going for many, many more years to come. I can't see them being, challenged in a major way from AI, not yet at least. So what we'll cover in this future on this channel really is what I want to end on, and we're going to do a lot more on the data engineering aspect. So going back to this point here about moving into one of these two areas, I want to spend more time discussing them. So expect more content on Snowflake, Databricks, data warehouses, data lakehouses, DBT, Fivetran. All these are transformation ETL tools. A lot of APIs, no doubt. We'll still cover Excel, no doubt. Python, SQL, we'll cover all of that as well. And then on the business analytics side, I'm going to cover some banking operations, how banks are structured, analysis techniques, especially financial analysis techniques, visual mapping that you do if you were a typical business analyst, and documentation, very much part and parcel of any business project and a business analyst role. So guys, that's all I wanted to wrap up on. Is data analytics dying? I think it is. And genuinely, I think that if you want to survive in this game, you really need to kind of specialize a bit more. I think data analytics is a perfect place to start, but you don't want to be there for too long because we are genuinely seeing pressures on data analysts all around. And I think it'd be a smart move for you, for any of my subscribers, my listeners, to honestly make a move towards becoming a business analyst or a data engineer. And you are in the right place if you are on this channel. Do subscribe because there'll be a lot more content on those two fields to come. Guys, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care for now.